all this demolition that has to occur. And then one more is the proposed condition. That's what we're looking for, so. I would maybe take 15 minutes. I don't know if you guys normally get in groups on this or not.
If you want to.
Yeah, pair up or group of three, start working on this, try to dissect the drawings that you're looking at. We'll work our way around the room, see what kind of things you guys come up with, and have you guys report back out, and then they'll go over their solutions. Sound like a plan? We'll be in around the room. Throw your hand up if we're not at your group and you got questions.
Yeah, feel free. Better get it right, Carly. And you better get it right.
Carly should be in her own group.
Yeah. Carly can be walking around the room.
Yeah, so you don't have. Yeah. You have maybe a foot of clearance.
One slide that gave the
Yeah, no, the clearance diagram. That was
You have about,
I think it's too bad.
about 9 inches of clearance in here.
no, the next one.
Next
Give or
one.
take.
They were asking like peak
What?
hours and stuff like that. That one.
Yeah. I may have just said it.
Go back one more. That one. Is that what you're talking about, Jason?
Yeah, like 1 hour, not rush hour, like how long are we talking?
Just assume 6 hours at night, yeah.
And then flip back to that one. That kind of reminds them what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, one back.
One back.
The one with the questions. Perfect.
So it's clear as mud.
We won't like put your drawings in.
Theoretically, you figure out a way to put formwork along that matches the surface. When you well, I don't know if you can actually precast this, but you could put formwork that matches the face, and then formwork boards on top, and then you just put boards over the parts of the formwork that are. So, like if you, for example, if you demo here. Then you put a board over that formwork, and then keep going. Then you keep going. You'll still be sticking out. Well, you can figure out a way to, if you can physically make it work, you can have it, your main anchor point can be over here, go over the track.
Yeah, 2 operations.
Like, so you can go, your formwork to go over the train tracks and be anchored in there. Platform. That'd be pretty awesome. It would, but it's probably the easiest. Probably the only way you can get rid of these railings. We have
No, that's so you found your guys. That's awesome. No.
have let it. Platform is extending out 2 feet 7 inches. We have 2 feet 8 inches. Demo width. So if you look at the carrier diagram, I don't know what it's doing. No, it actually is. You have to look, so it's 400 feet long. No, it's too thick. That's over a foot. It's asking for, okay, I think I misread this. I think they're asking for I was thinking about scaffolding for some reason. But, adjustment for the formwork. Can you asking for the demo stuff? Asking for the demo stuff. Oh, okay. I don't know how you. It gets so close to like I don't know if you can actually recap yourself. Yeah. Can you shot it? Because if you use shotcrete, you don't need as you wouldn't need as much drainage. If you shotcrete it from the track side, the only formwork you need is going to be on the side and the back. You don't need shotcrete.
Well, that's something to figure out. Because I know how to go over Yeah, so you see this is what happens. So they put up the rebar and they put the formwork up on the back side and they just shotcrete it from this side. And then you see it once it's dry, shape it down so that it doesn't match it. No, you would shotcrete it from this side.
If you could figure out how to get your former shotcrete in here, you'd shotcrete from this side, because you wouldn't need any formwork on this side of the track. On the back, on this side though, that's out of the car. There's a shotcrete this way. There's no formwork on the side that you're shotcrete, or shotcrete. It's only on the back side. You do it though. It'll be messy. But it is messy.
So now you've got these sort of, okay, what's real, what's the thing like this? You know, so what could we do? We have the right dimensions. What kind of head do we have? Yeah, so you just put your hand up your ass. Because that's one of the first things you need to work through.
Construction.
Just dotted line. You can see the dotted line. Versus this is really that's really how far you have from the center line of track. So we have that's to the back. So that's basically the
You guys doing down?
Can we use shotcrete?
Can you?
between the three.
Because shotcrete, you have to use, you put formwork on the back side of it, right?
Sure. Or it could be like up against on that wall, as long as you got something for it to adhere to. Throw it on there and it's dry, and then you can form it as you go.
It's easy, in and out.
How would you do that then? What's gonna hold it?
Yeah, that's the geometry.
What is the advantage by using that versus traditional?
You don't have to worry about formwork on the track side of
You
the
don't?
platform. Do you?
It's just a rhetorical question.
Okay.
To make you think about it.
Yeah.
So
You
what-
would need to use it on the underside, right?
Well, okay. So let's think about this. What would you, if you had no limitations, what would you do? Start there. Right? You had no limitations, where would you start?
No trains running?
No trains. Can I help you?
Yes.
So I want this flat, right?
Yeah.
Let's simplify it well. You get that out, probably jack this out, right?
Yeah.
That rotates. And I shore it, right? And I'd have my
Oh, yeah, I don't know. That's your name.
depending on how tall it is, would mean do I
So you're
need
talking the train tracks on the left side. Okay. Okay.
so then I'd kick it off so that the pressure is coming up against that. I'd have that extra deck. I would have handrail. Something like that. Right? Can you do that?
It's not safe.
Okay. So now what do you do? Huh?
Could you precast it into place?
Could you? There's a value there, right? Potentially. I like that idea. That's an interesting one. I'll come back to you guys. Okay? Don't leave your shotcrete,
Yeah, I know.
but start with what you know you would have to do if you've got nothing. Struggling. Okay, am I struggling? Where to start? What about that? Can I do?
Yeah, we were gonna bring it back in, but go ahead.
Let me do that. All right, hey, give me a minute of your time here. Let me do this. Bring the doc cam up. Now, one of the things that a couple of the teams are struggling with is where to start. Raise your hand. Are you having trouble where to start? Where to go with this? Just one. You guys are full of malarkey. Okay? Right? So Brock's the only one struggling. Where to start? Love you, Brock. And all your Ronnie friends. Okay. So, one of the things that we started to do up here, hopefully this will help us get going a little bit more, and somebody asked me, can we do this? I'm like, okay, but why would you go to that extreme to do that? Do you need to? What can you use? What can't you use? And so what we decided to do was, if we had no limitations, what would we do? Does anybody have any question, any idea of what you would do if you had no limitations? Move the train. No train. This is what I consider a suspended slab. How would you go about doing this with no limitations? Can I help you? Oh, thank you, sir.
Just regular decking with shoring underneath. And
Absolutely. Everybody know what he means by that? Okay, so because I know Brock's the only one that's gonna raise his hand and say, yes, he understands, or doesn't understand. Brock, I want you, man. So this is my final product here, and again, I'm really making this simple. That's awful drawing. But this suspended slab right here that we want to, can you guys see that okay? Barely. Come on, folks. And the focus is out, huh?
There you go, that's good.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about, and now I've done something stupid. Let's just see if this will work. There's an exit.
It's save and exit.
Escape. Yeah. Okay, so what we're focused in right now, trying to solve is, we got this little slab here we want to install. Well, if I had no concern with my life or anything, I would, as Kyle, right? Kyle, you're the one that told me? Connor, I would deck this somehow, with some kind of system, and I would have a edge form that would be kicked off, and I would have some kind of handrail. That way my workers can walk down and through, right? That makes sense to you guys? You guys follow me? Okay, perfect world. That's what we might do. We both agree on that. That's standard suspended slab construction. Now, your job is to figure out how you take 425 feet and make that economical and safe within the restrictions that you've been provided by CTA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that help you?
Which basically means you can't have any of this past here. So what are you gonna do to still support that edge, so that concrete doesn't just fall out onto the tracks? What are you gonna do to get rid of that half, so when 5 in the morning hits, a train can ride by this and everybody can get to work in the morning? That's really a question. Joy, just keep rolling and go to the, or you want to keep looking at it?
Just a second. Brad?
So Connor and I were talking about if you were to make just a small portion of the end of the cantilever like precast and have bolts going back, then your formwork wouldn't have to, the underneath decking wouldn't have to stick out as far.
Okay.
Or maybe like maybe a metal edge form.
you could go and just do like segments and just go down. So it's like poured like 3/4 of the way to the edge or whatever, and then that last little bit, maybe 8 inches or 6 inches or so, you just have 6-foot precast segments that you just go in and you bolt in.
So you're saying form up a portion of it like this.
Can't see it, Brandon.
Oh boy. And then so that you would then pour this, and then after you strip this form, you would dial in like a precast segment to give you enough room?
More or less, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, good idea.
There was I'm sorry, I'm taking over.
No,
No, no, no. not at
Hey,
all.
you do this every day. You go.
I fake it every day. Don't laugh. You don't have to tell them the truth. What you have up here? You had
Remember me.
Huh?
Remember me.
Your group.
We were talking about shotcrete
Okay.
and precast as well.
Okay. And what kind of were you talking about? Precast in a simple segment like that, or the whole thing?
It's like the whole thing.
Okay. So you're saying that you kind of got that center pier that's finished, and you would put into place a precast and bolt it or fasten it or something. Okay, interesting. Well, how would the shotcrete work?
Well, I was thinking, could you shoot it from the track side? Because you don't need formwork in the front when you shoot shotcrete.
Okay.
So would you form it up and then shoot it from the track, and then you can get all your concrete out before 5 o'clock?
Maybe.
Or is that too extreme?
Extreme. Anybody else? You guys are hard out back there in the corner.
So our idea was, if you could, build support or like, decking or whatever for just the part that's not, in the track. So you support the bottom of it, so where the current edge is, that's where your formwork ends for right now. And then once your train's shut down for the night, you get out there real quick and form up a section with your leading edge on the front, pour some concrete, maybe like 2 hours, and then let it sit for an hour or two, wreck your form, and then by 5 o'clock, your concrete really should be moving, and the train can go by while your concrete is yours.
Be pretty dry, wouldn't it? Yes, sir.
Could you shut down both sides of the track at the same time, like a segment of 6 feet or something like that?
No, they wouldn't let you. Yeah, because they always got to keep one track in service so they can keep it going 24 hours a day.
Hey, one of the things I don't know the solution yet, but let me throw something up there. In my day, I was very blessed to have a superintendent that did his own design, and so I think what they're showing us is that they do this themselves, and that's why we're engineers and we got to have critical thinking. But I had a superintendent that built stuff like this on rollers that were supported by a system that would come off of the main structure, and so that there was nothing ever across the tracks. And then you would have like a table that would roll down and just pop back up, and then you pour and roll back down and pop back up. So we'll see what they come up with, but I've seen something like that, and that's where we get to be engineers. And that's what frustrates me when somebody comes in and says, man, I want to be an engineer, I want to design things. Geez, Manelli, how awesome is this? Nobody tells us how to do this stuff. They just paint these pretty drawings and say, go make it work. And this is where these guys and gals get to be designers and engineers. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? We're not just a bunch of slackies. All right, here we go. I'm trying to get my message out there. You guys, I've already sold
No,
you
that's
guys.
absolutely right.
I've already sold you guys, so we'll let them take it from here. Sorry.
Yeah, it's real life problem. Yeah. So we'll show you what we did. So basically, actually go back to that clearance diagram. So we basically had this, they really don't even define it. You have 4'7" from the center line of the two tracks to the platform edge. So they really don't tell you what the exact number is, how much you can stick into the right of way. You see this is the outline of the train. So you got a little bit of space there. It doesn't tell you how much. But really, they don't want you to be anywhere closer than 4'7". So back to the questions. So, what options do you have for the formwork? And kind of like Brandon was saying, we got a demo operation, we have a pouring operation. So economics are kind of driving us to one solution there. And then how can we be sure it's sufficient? So you can go to the next one, actually. For the answer. So basically what we did is we came up with a form system, just like this, and almost like what Brandon said, we could have kicked it this way. This is that platform, that existing foundation wall. This is the cantilevered edge. Okay, this is just a plan here, you can ignore that. But the reason we didn't kick it this way, and that picture didn't really show it, the trains have a lot of signal cable that's attached to this platform wall that we really couldn't disturb. So we couldn't really rely on this wall down here to support our concrete while it was still wet. So what we did is we put a bent plate angle in right here, and we put one in right here. And like I said, this is a 5-station project, right? So to be economical, we went with a HDPE sheet here instead of plywood, because the plywood will deteriorate every time you pour, where this plastic sheet will not. So now we basically have a reusable form system. We prefabricated them in 5-foot lengths, and basically what we did is we come in here, we put all these in one night, the whole 425-foot platform, because the economics of it is there's not enough money, because you're working at night with overtime, to come in here and do this in those segments, like you were saying, where you could do a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Each one of those mobilizations in to do that work, the dollars just go through the roof. So this is kind of what we came up with, plan, and then how can we be sure it works? Well, we sent it to an engineer. So we came up with the design, and then we have someone with an SE stamp validated for us, so we can go to the owner and say, hey, this is exactly what we're gonna do. But like I said, being on the news is really not what we're after in our business. So the next thing we did to make sure it all worked and to take it to the next level is we built a mock-up. That's how critical this is. When you're working in a 6-hour window with enough crew to put up 425 foot of forms, you're really talking about spending a lot of money in one evening. So you can see we poured a little mock platform here. And we also integrated the demolition operation into this. So basically what we did is we put the forms in first, and we saw cut it, and we put the forms down a little bit low. So when the saw cutter went through, the piece of concrete just slipped. The form caught it. You see we have our bent plate edge here. This is real thin, so that the train can go by. We're not protruding it. We didn't need that shoring in a typical situation where we could kind of kick off here and have a little walk back. And then the next move is we pull out these big pieces. So we're able to pull the pieces in one night. The next day, we put the rebar in, and the day after, we're ready to pour. So within 3 days, we have 425 feet of platform that we just redid the cantilevered edge. Yeah, question?
How'd you make sure that each of the wooden legs, I guess, were level on the gravel?
So actually what we did, you can kind of see down here, is we made sure we had a little bit of a flat spot, and we laid like a 2x6 on the ground. And then these screws, these are jack screws, after we did the demo, we would use those to get our grade correct. So that's why we had 5-foot segments. We were able to get everything lined up just right for the platform edge. I think we got a couple more pictures. So again, you can kind of see how thin this is compared to the track. This is that plastic sheet I was talking about. This is actually existing rebar we had to couple onto. That's why precast really didn't work. We kind of talked about it, but our structural engineer, the design engineer, who's our sub for a design build project, really needed something strong. We're talking about, God, I can't remember, it's on the sheet, like a 30-inch cantilever, 9 inches thick. That's a decent amount of weight. So what they wanted to do is grab onto the existing rebar that was there with a rebar coupler and then forecast in place. If you have that big of a precast segment, you need really big anchors to kind of tie that back into the existing structure. So that's how we did it. It's a real world problem in a tight scenario, and these are the type of challenges we face when we deal with CTA, and you really got to be creative and really dial everything in. When you're talking about 6-hour work windows, there's really no time for error. So the amount of planning that went into this was really extensive, and which is why we made the investment in the mock-up. So, thanks.
Any other questions on this one?
Yeah, please, feel free. Yeah.
How many guys did you have during that 6-hour window?
Sometimes up to 20. So it's a lot of